We've got some good and bad news on Starfield, because while we learned about a ton of new features from the Starfield Direct, some are not as fleshed out as you might think or can be accessed way later in the game than I expected. But let's start with one topic that of course keeps coming back since it's a Bethesda title, the scale of the game. Starfield will have over 1,000 planets for you to explore, some of them more dangerous than others. You see, certain weather effects or other planetary anomalies like heavy radiation can cause you ailments if you don't have the proper protection. But it will be worth it to explore every location to its fullest, as completely surveying a planet will grant you valuable data that can be sold for a lot of money. A lot of the planet's surface will be procedurally generated, but there are a lot of handcrafted locations and encounters too. I'm especially impressed by the variety of the major cities we've been shown so far, from the clean and sci-fi look of New Atlantis to the more western looking city of Aquila and the neon lit streets of the aptly named Pleasure City Neon. But while the variety is awesome, there is some bad news as well, because in an interview with Kinda Funny Games, game director Todd Howard stated that roughly 10% of the planets in the game will have life on them, which means that the vast majority of the planets in the game will not be populated. It's not all bad though, as Todd described the experience of exploring and surveying these barren planets as very zen-like, while also noting that there will be things for you to discover and do, like gathering resources on these empty planets. So it's not like they're just filler space, you simply won't encounter other life forms on them. On an added note, he also mentioned that we should not expect any mounts or vehicles to explore planetside. We do have the boost pack, which especially in lower gravity environments can almost make you fly, but no space buggies or weird alien mounts to help us out when exploring the vast galaxy. Now, while all of that might sound bad on paper, remember that 10% of over 1,000 still means that more than 100 planets will have life on them. On top of that, exploring a large unknown planet and finding no life whatsoever does fit the theme of space exploration really well, so it does make sense from that point of view. And if you find yourself getting bored, you can fast travel back to your ship and visit one of the many other planets. I'm fine with this as long as it's immediately clear which planets are barren and which are not, so I can choose if I want to quest and meet people in settlements or if I want to explore a barren moon surface with no one to bother me. And if you really enjoy your solitude, you can build your character like a lone wolf too, with skills and traits like introvert, which means you use less oxygen when you exert yourself while adventuring alone. But the crew and companion systems actually sound really interesting, so I think it's a shame not to engage with those. In case you don't know, both your ship and the outposts you build can be staffed with crew members that you pick. You can hire ones from spaceports, find new members while exploring, or recruit some of your story companions to fly with you, like the members of the Constellation. Each crew member has a specific set of skills, which means they're better suited for specific tasks. It's better to send Sarah Morgan to a base where you're growing and harvesting crops thanks to her expertise in botany, whereas Barrett will come in real useful in building and repairing spaceships thanks to his starship engineering skill. Especially once you get a bigger ship and more outposts, this system can get really interesting, as you want to make sure you send the right people to the right place. Although you might want to keep certain crew members close to you, as romance is possible in the game. That's the good news, but unfortunately you are very limited in your choices, as in that same interview I mentioned earlier, Todd said that the 4 main Constellation companions are the only ones that support a romance. They do all have their individual quest lines as well, so you will get to know them a lot better, but still, in a game this massive, 4 romance options is a bit limited. As to who those 4 members are, the direct showcase heavily hinted at Sarah Morgan and Sam Coe being 2 of them, with the other 2 being a bit more of a question mark. I personally hope having only 4 means the quality is good, because remember, Cyberpunk also only had 4 proper romance options, but I did not experience that as a problem because of the quality of the writing. Now let's move over to the thing I am most excited about, but of course, if you like the video so far, then a like would really support the channel, and subscribe as we got way more Starfield videos coming your way. But yeah, maybe you already guessed it from looking at the footage, but I cannot wait to build and customize my own spaceship. It's really cool that most of the changes you make to your ship aren't just cosmetic either, like adding a new habitat can expand the number of crew members you can fit on the ship, or fitting an improved grav drive allows you to jump to more distant systems. Your reactor will also be hugely important, as it decides the amount of energy you can send to different systems like shields, engines or weapons. The energy allocation can be swapped on the fly, so if you find yourself outgunned in a fight, switch all power to your shields and engines to make it out in one piece. But what surprised me is that this system system is described as being more focused on the end game. Todd mentioned the kinda funny that he does not expect players to engage with shipbuilding right away because it requires a lot of credits and resources to buy and upgrade parts. So bad news for if you want to jump into this feature straight from the start, but there is a bit of a solution to this problem early on, because you can disable and board enemy ships in space and then claim them as your own. Todd even mentioned in an interview with IGN that sometimes enemy ships will land on a planet, meaning you can take out the crew and steal the ship while it's grounded. And these captured ships can also be modified, as they consist of the same building blocks you can make ships out of, although you have to pay a registration fee first if you want to access this feature. So while shipbuilding being an endgame activity might sound bad, I actually think it allows for a really interesting evolution of gameplay over the course of your playthrough. Near the start, you'll be getting by with your own ship that you can slowly upgrade, but for a big boost in power, it's probably quicker to hijack and steal a more powerful enemy ship until you find one you're really happy with, which you can then start modding and upgrading if you have the resources. Alternatively, if you want to make ship stealing your main thing, then there's also a pirate faction in the game you can join to enjoy some less than legal activities, which will also include smuggling illegal contraband. Another feature that will be much more present later in your playthrough is the Outpost system. This allows you to build bases pretty much anywhere on any planet. Again, these can be staffed with crew members, and next to offering a nice place to relax, you can place resource harvesters here or grow plants and ship your cargo and resources between different outposts. There is even a system that allows you to scan local plants and wildlife that can help you with resource gathering in an outpost, but how this is going to work is not exactly clear yet. Either way, more complicated bases will obviously cost a lot of resources and credits as well, so it will probably take a while before you have a network of them spanning the galaxy. Again, I'm fine with this. I actually think this will help to make the game less overwhelming considering how many systems are at play. And while it's already a massive game at launch, we can expect Starfield to grow even bigger, as by buying the game's premium, digital premium or collector's edition, you'll get access to the first story expansion Shattered Space when it releases. The chosen wording, first story expansion, leads me to believe there's more in the planning, which was actually confirmed by Todd Howard in that interview with IGN. He said the team is planning to do a lot of add-on content for Starfield, later adding that they plan to release content packs of various sizes, while also hinting at the fact that we should not just be expecting new stories, but also new features later down the line. I really hope they deliver on this, because the possibilities seem endless with Starfield. We of course had some cool DLC for Bethesda RPGs in the past, but also quite a few misses, so I am holding my fingers crossed that they manage to stick the landing. When we learn more about the game, we will of course let you know here, so subscribe for more Starfield videos and leave a like if you enjoyed this one. If you want, you can watch our previous video where we break down the game's key systems by clicking on the screen. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.